Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So, we've been here and we've said it all. What's left at this point? The clickety-clackety among YouTubers continues, but nothing of substance really comes out. What more can we do with our discussions for Ghost Recon? Countless mechanics videos about AI teammates, tiered loot, the open world, animations. Everything you could discuss, we've already discussed, have gone over, doubled back, and we're still in the same place. We've taken countless surveys, created numerous videos on mechanics. I give credit to the devs for Operation Motherland, as it seems like they were trying to achieve what many in the community had been asking for. A game world that changes depending on what you do and the choices you make. And the reasons why I'm a bit upset at this last video I watched is because I remember the Operation Drewski video that went into detail about these types of mechanics, and one could make the argument that his video helped push devs into creating these types of mechanics for Operation Motherland. The most important things people could be getting across for this franchise, as we've tried to get the ears of the developers for the future of this IP, we've already discussed. But now we're going to double back and go over what we all know this franchise needs to survive. First off, for you PC players out there, both you and I know that the Spartan Realism mod has brought about a second life to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And moving forward, there's going to be no way any of us are going to pick up a new Ghost Recon game and be able to go back to the old way of how AI operates. Ubisoft first and foremost needs to understand that players want difficulty outside of how much damage they take. Enemies need to see you from farther, they need to engage from farther. Firefights need to happen at 3, 4, 500 meters. Stealth should feel like a reward, because enemies will hear you, see you, and kill you. So getting close for the kill, close for the attack, close for the ambush should feel amazing. It should feel like you are actually a ghost who reconned and got into a position of advantage for the attack, and are rewarded as such rather than the cliche run around like Sam Fisher and perform the most absurd stealth kill animation. Now, the problem we face with this franchise and this game engine apparently, that when you do a little bit of testing as to why Ghost Recon is in the state that it's in, it's due to the fact that the game doesn't work beyond a certain distance. To further explain, games nowadays are built on rendering tricks as to where the closer you get to an object, the better it's rendered. All it took was the binoculars mod, into which the binoculars can now zoom in twice as far to see that objects at a distance in Ghost Recon Breakpoint are rendered poorly. And as you get closer, the models change to render more clearly and correctly with updating pixel counts and texturing, etc. Ubisoft has a design problem with this game. You need to be at a certain distance to render objects correctly. Therefore, enemy engagements are programmed to happen at a certain distance, and that's why we have a tactical shooter in which firefight ranges happen from under 135 meters and sniping is around 300 meters. None of this is good enough moving forward for this franchise. It can't survive trying to be the best of all worlds because it ends up being the worst of all worlds. A Call of Duty, Splinter Cell, stealth action, RPG mess of a franchise. Moving forward from there, we have a game map in which compounds are perfectly spaced out. None of them big enough to be interesting, with AI that's too dumb to make infiltrating worthwhile. We need more highly dense environments, places to get lost in, urban areas that are populated and dangerous, places to get ambushed in, less wandering enemies that serve no purpose. I would have loved the enemies out in the jungle in Ghost Recon Breakpoint to be on alert, looking like they're actually hunting me rather than walking around aimlessly. Ambushes that happen with ghillied enemies. The Azrael drone mechanic was terrible, and we all know this, but the idea wasn't bad. It's just that enemies shouldn't spawn right in front of a player. Can this game engine create enemy AI outside of a certain range and allow those enemies to hunt the player? I don't know, but it's something that AC does with their champions who roam around that game world. We need better game design. Every 100 meters, enemies are spawning in the middle of nowhere for no apparent reason other than to give the player something to kill. There needs to be a purpose to what we do in this franchise again. The game has turned into a whack-a-mole of sorts, in which we're just walking from one hole to the next, looking for the next mole to whack. It's overdone, and I don't see Ghost Recon surviving much longer if it keeps recycling this game loop. As far as AI teammates, no one has put out such an in-depth video as I have as to what I'd like to see with the AI teammates. I'll obviously link the video for that long-form discussion, but Ubisoft needs to know that commanding troops in the battlefield needs to feel authentic again. Gone should be the days of autonomous AI characters who attempt to do everything on their own after you give them a simple command. We need a move to, hold here, open fire, hold fire, breach and bang, breach and clear. We need these orders to work in unison. Hold here, open fire. Move there, hold fire. Ghost Recon needs to be the game in which tactics thrive. Not a game, but the game. With Splinter Cell making a comeback, we need to finally lay to rest what has happened to the Ghost Recon franchise and move away from this stealth kill aspect of gameplay. We need Ghost Recon to be Ghost Recon again. A squad-based tactical shooter that is unforgiving. Unless you suck, in which you can lower the difficulty and tweak all the options in which Ubisoft should provide. For example, everything Vandar provided for us in Spartan Realism mod should have been an option to tweak in the game. Enemy reaction speed, how far they can see you, how far they should hear you, which apparently in-game has a hard cap at around 225 meters, and I'd like to see more developers across the board with all different types of games put these types of options in their difficulty settings. Player mechanics are another topic which we've drilled on about. Player weight, speed, stealth, and movement should all reflect and change depending on what the player has on them. A backpack system similar to The Last of Us, where you are going into your backpack in-game to grab more items. I do have another video where I went into detail and created a UI to reflect how this would work. I'll link it up here so you guys can check it out. But you should be able to take more magazines, more grenades, and your weight should go up, your speed and stealth should go down, and mechanics should be made to reflect this type of gameplay. The bottom line is that in 2023, as development of the next game should be well underway, and whether or not we get a new Ghost Recon this year or next, the devs need to understand that this franchise is so close, yet so far away from being a really great franchise. But they need to hear us. They need to listen to what the community has been requesting and advocating for since day one. And there's been no other community that has discussed these mechanics more in depth than this one. So let's hope that our extremely small voice in this ginormous space can actually get heard, because for the sake of us and for the sake of the Ghost Recon franchise, it needs to be.